Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings. You're tuned in to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judges, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings, and Ramadan Mubarak to everyone. Welcome to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. And today we're going to chat a little bit about practical ways that we can get closer to Allah during this Ramadan season and beyond. So sit back, you still got a little time to grab you some tea, some coffee, and some water, and I'll be right back. Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. Add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku TV lineup and catch up on past episodes of all your favorite Mo Today shows.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people. Yes, sir. You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself. Yes, sir. There will be a great separation. Yes, sir. So I said, it is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
We have God with us. We have Him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. And let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
Tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize black leadership.
Assalamu alaikum again, and Ramadan Mubarak again. How are you all doing? How's your fasting going? This is a glorious time of the year because, during the fast, I think for me, let me speak for myself. What begins to happening is this opening. And even when I fast other times of the year, it's a different result during Ramadan. And it could be because of the reading and the additional studying. I'm not sure. Excuse me, I got to sneeze, but excuse me. I don't know, but and I think added to that, the collective work that we do with one another and really just focusing and getting back on our discipline. Because this is what happens. The world begins to pull on you and there's a creep, away. It's like a creep away, like degree by degree by degree. Pretty soon you start, let me just grab some fruit during the day, or let me get a couple almonds, or something that we're doing that's taking us off of our one meal a day. Thank you, Sister Alicia. Taking us off of our one meal a day, taking us off of our discipline. There's so many things that happen. So that's what drove me to want to have this conversation with us today, especially those of us that are in business, and most of us are, those of us that are working on things, whether it's a big project, whether you have a demanding job. This talk is for you. It's for us, I should say, because for us, discipline is especially important. No, that's not the right way. Not right. Executing discipline is especially important, and being focused and being intentional about our discipline is important. I talked to you all before as professionals about making sure that you understand that you don't have to fill every waking hour of your day with something. So if you're awake from, I'm just using an example, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., you don't have to fill that time, every hour of that time, with something. Why? Because, and people always talk about this. I listen to a lot of shows and things like that, and people talk about, oh, well, white entrepreneurs get to do this, and white executives get to do that. And why do you see people like Elon Musk just moving light years ahead of people, or Bill Gates moving ahead, whether you agree with what they do or not? But what is keeping them moving? It's the space to create. And some of us would say, well, it's because they got money. Well, let's talk about that. It's really the space to create, because quiet time that many of us forget about, that quiet time where you're just sitting and allowing. See, because thinking and creating is allowing, right? I use the phrase or the terminology or the concept of being an artist in business, because what I'm doing is creating, and I'm allowing that creativity, that energy from Allah to flow through me onto whatever subject or whatever it is that I'm working on. So I'm not hardcore executing. So if I'm trying to get something done, I'm not every minute of the day going, let me work on this, let me strategize, let me call this person. You have to build in some times. Excuse me. You have to build in some times for you to just do nothing, to think and allow Allah or the universe to speak to you, to flow through you. And we forget that oftentimes as entrepreneurs because we might be in a position where we don't have a room where we can go and pray during prayer times, or we might be working a job and there's no prayer room. So, what I say, and this is what I've always done, and I especially used to do it when I was traveling around as a consultant, not only during prayer times, but at other points and times throughout the day, I would stop and pray and meditate. Stop, acknowledge Allah, and then meditate and receive whatever He has for me at that time. And I would do this, let's say in the course of a day, of course, I would get up, do my prayers in the morning, get to the client's office. Maybe around, let's say I get there about 8:30, maybe around 10 a.m. And then at noon, there's prayer time. And then maybe again at around 2, come into that afternoon, it's either time for you to get ready to leave or oftentimes meetings or something. So I might do something really quickly, like 3:30-ish or so. And then on into the evening. But that is really important because you're never going to get that life-changing idea or that life-changing guidance if you're just constantly pushing and moving within the confines of your intellectual capacity. You have to be able to build in some moments where there's nothing, no television, no music, nothing. Because remember, everything has a vibration. Everything has a vibration. So wherever that vibration is coming from has that person's intention in it. That's why music, when I love with music to listen to artists talk about their intention when they created a song. I love artists that do that. I like artists who are intentional with their music. And the reason why I say that is because then the note selections and the words that they choose are going to vibrate at that level of the intention. And so that's important. I was listening to something the other day, and Alicia Keys was talking about her intention. Prince always would do that. You have people like Erykah Badu, she'll explain the intention of it. So sometimes that is or can be very, very instrumental in whether or not okay, family. So I just went out and I'm back. So I'll give you all a few minutes to come back. Chime into the chat if you are back. I don't know what happened. Everything just went black on the screen. And I guess this conversation is hot, right? So let me know. I'll give you all a few minutes to come back to the conversation and let me know in the chat if you are back. Okay, so Sister Aletha says back. Everybody else back. So going back to understand vibration and intention. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody, for responding. Okay, thank you, Brother Kevin, Brother Stanley, Sister Lisa, thank you. Okay, so going back to intention, you don't have to take every single hour of your day and be doing something. Take a minute and take some time off. 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and just meditate. Turn off the movies, turn off the music, podcast, turn off the news, and just meditate. And some people say, well, I do it, but I'm always I do it while I'm running, or I do it while you can do that. But what I'm saying to you as entrepreneurs, stop. Just stop. If you have an 8-hour day, do not put 8 meetings in your day. Maybe try 5 or 6, but you need some time for the receipt of creative energy. It's very, very important. Why do I mention that during our conversation when we talk about getting closer to Allah? Because some of the things that keep us, we think we're getting closer to Allah. We'll say, oh, I'm doing my prayer and I'm in the ministry class and the women's guild and all these other things that I do. And I support the pastor and I tithe and I pay charity and blah, blah, blah. And then when you telescope out and you look at your life, you don't necessarily see progress. You probably see safety, but you may not see yourself moving from one level to the next. See, Allah puts in us different desires. And when He ignites a desire in us, which is oftentimes a signal of something He wants us to do to attain growth, because in order to get to that next level, you have to become something different, because He's trying to bring you closer to Him. But we sometimes resist those levels, those next levels and that growth, because we're afraid of not being safe. And so what we have to challenge in ourselves is, what does that say about our faith? What does it really say about our faith? It's interesting. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they called and they thought to share something with me. And they went into how phenomenal they think I am and how incredible they think I am, and how but if I wouldn't be so spiritual and I wouldn't talk so much about Elijah Muhammad and different things like that, that I could be, their words were, a massive millionaire. And I was like, wow. And they gave me the example of when Esther Hicks was on the Oprah. I think she was interviewed by Oprah, and instead of being on the show, they put her on the radio because they were concerned about whether or not people thought that she would look weird because she's a medium and she channels an entity that she calls source energy. And they gave me that example. They said because people couldn't handle it. And I said, you know what? I said, this conversation, and I said, thank you for this. I said, because this is a test and I'm about to pass it. Because they were trying to offer me something if I would just kind of come back, I guess, from La La Land a little bit. And this is like the second test in the last few months that I've had. I had another test where somebody said to me, there's millions of dollars available for you if you allow us to just repackage the representation of Elijah Muhammad in the Sajdah house. And I was like, okay, now that's not even history. Repackaged, that's a lie. But anyway, I'm gonna go into that a little later at another time. But this one was interesting. Massive millionaire, big project available. And I said, you know what this sounds like? I said, this sounds like people who are vaccinated getting mad when unvaccinated people are around them. I'm going to say that again. I said, this sounds like people who are vaccinated getting mad when unvaccinated people are around them. And they were like, what do you mean? I said, if your vaccine works, then you wouldn't care if somebody else is vaccinated or not. I said, so this is what I'm saying to you. If I believe in my spirituality and my spirituality is important to me, and if, as it relates to the house, that I believe in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, then I have to also believe that my belief and connection with that higher, bigger, more spiritual power will have more power than your insecurities. So if you're saying to me, well, people would really, utilize you on different shows and different platforms if you weren't quite as spiritual with your business approach. And then I said, well, I have to believe that my spirituality is going to trump whatever you could possibly give me in the name of me giving up who I am. So I believe that. I believe that what I am doing and how I am being is right, it's authentic, and it's going to have many more far-reaching benefits than what you could possibly offer or imagine. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. And so I say that because and that's not just for me. I know that oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we're negotiated out of our spirituality because we're kind of taught that we can't be that way. People kind of shun us. And when people talk about you, you can feel it. Somebody may be saying, hey, you know what? I like Sister Sajdah, but I don't really like adding spirituality and religion. And, I'm down with her building a museum, but can she stop with the he lives stuff and the Messiah stuff? And you can feel that. You can feel when people feel like that and when people are taking that approach. And I always laugh because the life that I've lived and the opportunities that I've had that out trump most of those people's opportunities that are talking about me could never have happened without all of this. Never could have happened. I've been at tables, I've been in places that I could not have even hustled my way into. I could not have prayed my way into because I didn't even know they existed. So as entrepreneurs, we have to make sure we don't allow ourselves to be negotiated out of our position, where all of a sudden we try to just be this neutral sort of regular type of person with no passion, no spirituality, no energy. And then pretty soon when you look at you, you just look like that corporate woman, if you will, or that corporate man. You look like these manufactured people that they're parading in front of you. Pretty soon you start to dress like it. Your skirt hem may raise up a little bit more, clothes get a little tighter, you show a little bit more cleavage because you are subconsciously being negotiated into being something other than yourself. And this is pulling you further and further away from Allah. It's making a God out of something besides Allah. So if your job is your God or the people around you are your God, then that's polytheism. And that's taking us away. We're talking about getting closer to God today. So we're talking about not allowing ourselves to be negotiated out of our spiritual position. I have people who say to me, well, they think I don't care about what nobody else thinks. It's not that I don't care about what anybody else thinks, but I'm not going to be negotiated out of my position. Allah has been too good to me, and he's too close to me, or I'm too close to him and getting closer each and every day for me to give it up so that you are okay with me. Because I know that whatever I might be seeking in you, Allah can send me. He can come in the form of that, and I don't have to compromise myself. Here's another thing that moves us away is not only polytheism, but also competition. So what happens to us, y'all all right? Let me know in the chat if y'all doing okay. I just want to make sure, since we had that little glitch, that you all are still there. Everybody's quiet because y'all must be thinking. Here's another one, competition. We live in a world that is that makes it okay to always keep score. So whether if you're trying to lose weight, you work out and you weigh yourself. There's a weigh-in. You change your diet and you weigh yourself. So you're always keeping score. And in keeping score, you're messing up your vibration. So you go out, you earn money, and you're keeping score. That keeping score is a problem, because when you keep score, all you're doing is reminding yourself that you are not where you want to be. You're not saying, hey, this is good, I just lost 2 pounds. Most of the time you're saying 2 pounds and 20 more to go, or whatever your goal is. But what happens when we keep score with other people, when we're constantly looking at somebody else? We've been taught to take admiration and transform it into competition. So you may look at me and say, oh, I really like her hair, or wow, I really like her skin, or whoa, I really like that commemorative Elijah coin. Then you start comparing. And you either go out and try to get the same hair or have the same skin or live the same life, or you hate on it and you try to cast doubt on it. Why? Because this world is making you keep taking score. What are we doing when we do that? Not only are we changing the focus, but guess what we're also doing? We're saying to Allah, I want to be closer to you, but I'm mad at you for coming through this person. I'm mad at you for what you've manifested over here. That's like being mad at a flower, or mad at a blade of grass, or looking at a beautiful red bird flying. I was looking at one yesterday, looking at the birds and saying, I'm jealous of you. You so pretty. I'm jealous of you. Your feathers are so colorful. I'm jealous of you. No, you separate that. You look at that as one of God's creations, or at least I hope you do. And you're not trying to compare yourself to that red bird or that peacock. Then why do we do that with people? It's because it's been made to be a part of the way of life for those of us, especially in the corporate world, but in general. We get on social media, we look at somebody else and we go, what they doing, where they at, how they get to do this, how come they can have that? Make sure it's not light. That's what we do. And so we compare. And in that comparison, now, here come the envy. Here come the jealousy. It's only natural you're going to be envious and jealous if you're comparing yourself, because that ain't for you. What's for you is for you, and what's for me is for me, and what's for her is for her, what's for him is for him. But what you can do is use the admiration for what it really is. If you see somebody and you say, wow, I really admire their career, or I admire their car, use it as motivation to say, I love that. I like that. I see that can be done. Okay, that works. Not to put that person down and dog that person out because you don't have what they have. We all flowing up to the same creator. But that's one of those other things that moves us away from Allah. And I'm talking about, these are things that are beyond the obvious, beyond talking about people, beyond gossiping, beyond smoking, beyond drinking. I'm talking about these behavioral nuances that we've gotten into. This competition, this comparison, this being negotiated out of our spiritual position because we're trying to be like somebody else so we can get the benefits out of life that that person gets. Not praying and not meditating and allowing Allah to come through us. Not understanding that other people that are in our lives can be there to support us and help us. And if it's nothing else, just their example. But instead of allowing that person to remain our example or helping us, we get mad, we get jealous, we cut them off. That's another thing that we do, is the competition, constantly competing. I have to be first. I have to be the only one. It's a very colonizer's way of thinking, colonized person's way of thinking. I want to be the one to get the fried chicken. I want to be the one to get in the house. I want to be the one that the slave sees. I'm going to dance the hardest because I want to be the one that they ask to perform in the house. I'm going to punish the other slaves the most because I want to show them that I can be like them. I'm going to change my accent because I want them to see me. This is slave-minded thinking, and these are things that also move us away from getting closer to Allah. Another thing is just in general having low self-esteem and not having a plan for ourselves. And what I mean by that is that oftentimes we don't have confidence in ourselves. So not only are we in competition and we're comparing ourselves, which creates a certain level of delusion, right? It's like if I get jealous of somebody because they are a prize fighter and I feel like I should be a prize fighter. What are you talking about? A lot of times most of these people be comparing themselves to somebody they haven't trained, they haven't been through what you've been through, they haven't done anything. And so it's almost delusional. But here's the other part of it. When we don't accept our own and accept who we are and love ourselves, and our self-esteem gets low because of our disconnect from Allah. See, Allah is the best cheerleader because if you learn to interact with him and pray and seek guidance as you move through life, he will set up stuff for you. He will have you walking like you are the best thing since sliced bread. Pray for a parking spot on your way to someplace and pull up and get a spot right in front and see, don't you walk in with your shoulders up and feeling like you somebody. You'll be like, yeah, I'm special, I'm anointed. But we don't do that oftentimes. Most times we don't do that. We're sitting up going, I ain't gonna go. I probably can't get a parking spot. Probably can't afford it. They say the flights is bad. I heard the restaurants ain't good. I heard they don't like Black people. I heard da 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 da. So then we use that, and then that impacts our behaviors. And instead of going, you know what, Allah, I want to go to this restaurant. I heard it's really good, and I want to ask you. I pray that me and my date or my friends or whoever I'm going with, that we have an amazing time, that the food just hits our palate in such a delectable way that it's heaven, that we have such a great conversation and that we just love being there, and that the wait staff treats us well, and that people are smiling at us and we're smiling at them, and that there's this amazing and powerful energy. Why not have that conversation before you go? That's going to get you closer to Allah. It's going to get you closer to Allah than, all right, I'll try it. I don't know if we're going to be able to afford it. I don't know if so-and-so want to go. I don't know, blah, 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 all this old negative stuff. Then that leads into competition. So all of these kinds of little behaviors, even think about disappointment. And disappointment's a big one that can take us away from Allah, because I can't tell you how many times I have not gotten what I wanted, but I got something better later, or I dodged a bullet. I can't tell you how many times that has happened to me. So I try my best to just walk with a certain level of faith. And again, like I said, people say, I don't care what anybody else thinks. It's not that. It's just that I'm taking what I'm doing to counsel, and it's what I feel is best at the time. Here's another thing. Trying to force people to do what you want them to do, or force yourself into rooms where you're not welcome or wanted, or going where you're not wanted. It's another thing that'll take you away from Allah. Ask Allah to open the right doors for you. Introduce you and have you interact with the people who are right for you. People who you can serve and people who can serve you. People that you can support and people that can support you. Ask Allah to guide you in the right position so that you respect people who love you and not respect people who don't love you. It's that old saying, right? We spend all kind of money trying to be around and hang around with people that we don't even like and who don't even like us. That's a very Negro thing that we do in our community. And I think that that's just something that you can be conscious of and begin to work on during this Ramadan season. Stop calling people who don't like you. Stop hanging out with people you don't like. If you have someone around you, and if somebody said, well, so-and-so is hanging around so-and-so, if you hanging around a person and you don't want nobody to know you hanging around them, then you probably shouldn't be connecting yourself to them. If you wouldn't want it to get out in the public, or if you don't like that person's behaviors to the point where you hope people don't associate you with them, then you should consider something. Okay, so let me see. Some of y'all saying something in the chat. Brother Robert says, this type of behavior is reinforced through games like dominoes, etc. The goal is to block the other person from scoring. We play it out in life. Yeah, I just think that we don't recognize that that's a game, and then life is not a game. I think reality and the game tend to blend and merge together. I think that's what happens. It just blends. We don't realize if we're watching football or playing cards or whatever, that that's a game and this is life. And there's so many cases where people lose themselves in a game. Let's see. Brother Frank, I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. Okay. Accept your own and be yourself. Yes, that's exactly right. So accept who you are. I do coaching called authenticity coaching. And many people who know me have, and either who have had a coaching session from me, there's a few of you in the chat, or people who are friends with me and know that I'm always encouraging you to discover and find your authentic self. What did you show up on the planet to do? See, because it's better for me if I'm working towards being a powerful manifester and growing, for me to have people around me who are also working on being a powerful manifester and growing and moving to that next level, than somebody else who's looking at me going up, 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 and then they getting a stick trying to hit me down. So you want to make sure your friends are growing. You want to make sure that they are coming up. You want to make sure that they're blessed, not because you love them, not just because you love them, but because it's good for everybody. And for me, I always want to be an asset. I want, when you think of me, to think positive and powerful thoughts. Asset. This is a good person. This is somebody can help me. This is a person who demonstrates behaviors that she discusses. All of that kind of positive energy is what I like flowing towards me. I don't want people going, oh, she's a liability. Oh my God, this is terrible. But if I was a liability in a certain position, in a certain situation, then I would try to add as much value as I can. If the person accepted me on as a liability, like if they had to help me or I had to get a loan or whatever, try to just make sure I'm in compliance. And that's important. It's very, very, very important. Type in the chat if you have any questions about this, because I really want us thinking about the other things that get us closer to Allah. There's the obvious things. And I think sometimes as religious and spiritual people, we get into these rituals and these routines, but we don't realize that we're off. We don't realize that there's a gap that's actually widening because we're so focused on the rituals and so dogmatic that we forget um, who we really are. All praises due to Allah, Sister Lee. Thank you for saying that. She said, you are a wonderful asset. Thank you, sis. And so here's the deal. Encourage people around you to be there. That's showing that you are getting closer to God and you're helping them to get closer to God. You want to help people to create and pull their authenticity up out of them. There's nothing worse than going through life, working a job, holding a position in government or in an organization, and putting your whole self on the back burner. We have some wonderful examples of people who do that in our community and have done that and sacrificed their entire life. But everybody ain't made like that. And sometimes we reduce our ability to help them because we're so off base ourselves. And when the disappointment and the perverted thinking comes into play, a lot of that is because we've lost ourselves. We really have lost ourselves. And so once you lose your grounding, which is your grounding and how you find yourself and connect, your center point is your connection between you and Allah. That's your center line. And so sometimes when you lose that connection, and I'm not talking about just because you go through your ritualistic prayers or you read the Bible or you read the Quran or you're reading certain texts and you feel like, look, I know all my Bible verses, I know all my Quranic verses, I got all this knowledge, I can recite this or that. That is great. And we should study to be at that point. But we also have to make sure that we're studying ourselves so we understand how Allah interacts with us and what it is that he showed up in us on this planet to do. And if we believe that our job is to be of service, then what does he want us to serve? How does he want us to serve? And how do we grow in that level of service? And can we grow if we're just constantly doing the same thing every single day? I was listening to a 1982 Savior's Day address where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talked about everything in creation has a duty to the Creator and a duty to uphold what it is we showed up, I'm paraphrasing, on the planet to do. There's a duty, there's an obligation. And so what is your duty to yourself? What is your obligation to yourself? See, time waits for no one. This they call it the evil accident of time, or this illusion of time. As you're moving through the world, you have to ask yourself, what am I doing with my life? Why am I here? Am I in a relationship that's just been bad for 50 years? And I'm just saying, I'm just going to keep doing it. And so we're wasting internet. I just working a job where I work 24 hours a day and I don't even have any breaks. So I don't even know who I am anymore outside of this job, or I don't know who I am anymore outside of the abuse that I'm taking in this relationship. Or, I've been fighting for something for so many years that I don't know who I am outside of the fight. See, creating that space between yourself and the bad relationship, yourself and the fight, yourself and whatever it is that you're obsessing over is going to give you that space to figure out who you are and figure out how to twirl around it and move around. Twirl out of it and move around. Just get it. You just need a little space. Just provide yourself a little space. And how do you provide yourself space in the spiritual realm? It's relief. And how do you get that relief? By stopping for a moment. And in that stopping, if you don't do nothing but just sit there, You should schedule do nothing time into your calendar. Sometimes the do nothing time might be praying or meditating. Sometimes it ain't nothing. It's just sitting outside. I'm not talking about where you're watching TV or listening to the radio or listening to music. I'm talking about where you're just not doing anything and you're just listening to the sounds of your house or the sounds of the universe or the sounds of the yard. You're just nothing. Why is that important? Because you need space from this vibration that you're obsessing with. Every television show, every song, every podcast has an intention that was set by the person that created it. And so are you sucking and nursing on that person's vibrational creativity 24 hours a day, as opposed to nursing what you showed up on the planet to do by creating more connection with Allah and hearing and allowing? See, when you're sucking and nursing on something that is not your creation 24 hours a day, then the results in your life or the manifestation in your life is going to mirror what you're nursing on. And so I tell people when I'm coaching them, try some simple things. Some people say, well, I listen to this song every day. Try changing up. Maybe today don't listen to the song. Maybe today don't watch that show. Don't turn the news on. Maybe tomorrow, instead of doing what you normally do, take a different route home. Walk outside, do a different exercise. It's just like with the body. If you do the same thing over and over again, then pretty soon your body gets used to it. But then if somebody says, hey, come on, go to boot camp, then you're about to die, but you're like, but wait, I run 10 miles a day. Why? Well, because your body has calibrated to that one thing that you do all the time. And so in the spiritual and vibrational world, if you have vibrations that you're nursing 24 hours a day, some people wake up in the morning, the first thing they do is turn on the news. Or the first thing they do is they play their favorite album. That's all fine and dandy. But what happens when you're trying to move to that next level? You may need to be vibrating at another level. And so in order to vibrate at another level, you got to introduce some other stimuli that's going to force you to go up to that next level. Now we're talking mathematical thinking and manifesting now, but you got to do something different. If you got 10 top behaviors that you're doing that have you at this level and you're trying to get to this level, then you either need to replace some of these 10 behaviors or adjust them, or you need to add some additional behaviors in this space that are stronger than those 10 or that enhance those 10 so that it raises you to that level. But you can't keep doing that. You can't keep going, well, every morning I eat a honey bun, have a cup of coffee, then I go to lunch and I have a cheeseburger and fries and I'm trying to lose weight. What do they tell you to do? You're going to have to get rid of the honey bun and or the cheeseburger, but you got to reduce some calories and increase some activity, and your caloric intake has to be less than your caloric outtake, or vice versa. I hope that makes sense to you all. You got to start thinking about this thing mathematically. And I'll say this before we go. And the reason why this is important, because right now we live in a world where everything around us is chaotic. You have the news that's a carefully crafted PR campaign. You have the economy that is shifting and moving and banks failing and interest rates going through the roof. You have all of these things that are happening that seem confusing and causing us to panic, making us hold on to what it is that we think is safe. If we don't think outside the box and connect to a power that's higher than us, that can take care of all of this, then we're going to be stuck moving with the vicissitudes of this world. And then next thing you know, we're being controlled by this world. And in most cases, the the trail and the path for that is really an early death, because the resistance is just going to cause so much stress. So you have to create some space and focus on something that's different from what it is that you're doing on a day-to-day basis that you have to do, that makes you keep up with this world. You got these obligations, but you got to find something else. You got to add something else to it. You got to do something else to bring you closer and closer to God and closer to doing something differently, having something differently, becoming a different person. I hope that makes sense. Sister Alicia, oh, praises due to Allah. Sister Alicia was one of my coaching clients. She says, yes, ma'am, that's why your show is so important. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Moving to the next level. So Stanley says, I think that's where I am, but I keep bumping into something and I don't know what that something is. It's so frustrating. So Brother Stanley, what you may want to consider doing is taking a look at your behaviors and your thought patterns. And if you can't identify one that you know is off, then start to make some changes, start tweaking it, start changing up your thinking. That's why it's good to have a coach or a consultant. I'm really not just saying that because I'm a coach and a consultant, but I am saying it because of that. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day from Africa, and he was saying, wow, this coaching and consulting thing that you do, we really need this in Africa, because what happens is we're always just on our own. It's kind of survival of the fittest. And I said, yeah. And sometimes when you're by yourself, you're not only worried about staying safe, so you're going to have your routine behaviors and your routine thoughts, Brother Stanley, that keep you safe, but you also can't recognize opportunities and where you need to move to get yourself to that next level. You can't get out of the box. You can't move past your blind spot, because safety is more important to you than moving out of the box into that next level. And sometimes that's subconscious. And so a lot of times you need somebody to help you identify those things that are keeping you in prison, those things that are preventing you. Many of us walk around here every day going, you know what, I should be a millionaire. I should be a billionaire. We see somebody on television, you're like, man, I can do that. I should be doing this or that. Well, what happens to us? What happens is that there's something that's preventing us from getting closer to that opportunity, something in our thoughts that's preventing the right actions, something in the people we hang around with, the relationships we're in. There's something there. And so what happens is you have to make some kind of change that will get you to be a different person, so that you can get different results. So you have to change. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same results. And so I want us to think about these kinds of spiritual things that will help us get closer to Allah. Of course, there's the things that we do as part of our spiritual practices, but what do we do as part of our routine safety practices inside of ourselves? Just change it up and see what results you get. If you always wear purple, try wearing blue tomorrow. Try wearing yellow. Just see what that new vibration does for you. And I think you'd be surprised at what you'll produce if you just change up. So we're going to get out of here, but let's stop competing with one another. Let's stop comparing ourselves to other people. This is going to help us with envy and jealousy. Okay, let's stop getting negotiated out of our spiritual position. So in other words, somebody coming to us and dangling a carrot in front of us going, hey, I got millions of dollars available for you if you would just do this, this, and this, or if you would just stop doing this, that, and the other. We ain't going for it. We see you, Yakub. that's just what I want us to begin to pay attention to, is those little nuances. So if you ever have a coaching or consulting person with me, I'm going to dissect down to the authentic things that are stopping us and preventing us, whether it's things we're doing in our business or not doing in our business, but most importantly, the things that we are thinking about. So when you see me talking about emotional intelligence and money psychology and our mental strategies when it comes to relationships and being of service, these are all important things that lead to us not being close to Allah and not being the person that we showed up on the planet to be. So Brother Robert says, Mind of an Entrepreneur is the type of programming I know is needed. Thank you, sister. All praises due to Allah. Thank you for that. Brother Stanley, yes, Brother Stanley, I think you need a coach to help you get past that blind spot, because it's probably just one thing. You're probably right there with whatever it is. You're probably right there. Just the one thing, you can't see it, or you might be afraid. See, sometimes you have to know what kind of conversations to have with yourself. And we don't have time now, but I would go into the conversations you have with yourself so that you can release some of the resistance and the stress. But you have to know how to talk to yourself. And I'll teach you those techniques in a coaching session. So thank you, Sister Alicia. Thank you for saying that. All right, family. Ramadan Mubarak. I'm so grateful for this Ramadan season. And hopefully you all have by now hydrated. Excuse me. Have hydrated, and you all are ready to go for the day. And I don't know how many people are also doing the national fast today as well. Sometimes we relieve ourselves of that during Ramadan, but I like to take a shot at it anyway. We'll see what happens. So peace and blessings, family. Make sure you get your commemorative Elijah coin. We really need your support. We are in a position now where I think people are starting to, well, you know what? I'm not going to go into that. Anyway, make a donation. Go to SajdahHouseDonations.com, or you can Cash App us at $Mo Today, MOETODAY. We are looking to make sure that we get the house completed this year. We've got some important deadlines next week, and so we need your support with some large donations very soon. We don't have that much to go. I've done, by the grace of Allah, most of the heavy lifting. We're probably looking at being a few $100,000 away from our goal. So, okay, y'all. So I will talk to you all soon. Let's see what's happening next week. Just go to my Instagram page at Sajdah Wendy Muhammad, or to my Facebook page. There's a couple podcasts that I'm on next week. I'll make sure that I post them. Make sure you like and subscribe to this page, because I often put alerts and stuff like that up there. Add the Mind of an Entrepreneur to your Roku TV lineup. We'll get these talks over to them so they can get them uploaded. And but most importantly, get your commemorative Elijah coin right away. Peace and blessing. Ramadan.